Well, okay, from the beginning. All right. So I was very interested in the service that you're offering because I noticed as a business owner that there were certain situations that were triggering me emotionally. And when I was triggered emotionally, especially in a heightened, when I was triggered into a heightened state of negative emotion, I didn't understand why those triggers were happening. I had an idea about why, but that idea was a surface level idea that I had. And I really needed to get to the bottom of it because it was affecting my ability to be successful the way that I want to, right? And live my definition of success. So I definitely was not expecting the depth of the journey that we went through. Um, I was, I'm incredibly impressed with the depth, especially with from someone that comes from a psychology background. So, working with you through this, I got to the bottom of, I was able to trace back why certain situations were so incredibly triggering to me. And it was in alignment with what I thought initially, but your process traces things back to the genesis of where a traumatic event happened that caused other similar types of situations to trigger me in the same way that that initial traumatic event triggered me in the first place. And so through this process, I gained an incredible amount of awareness, not only about where things came from in the first place, but why I was reacting the way that I was and how to flip the script so I could release those things from the past that were affecting me even today and were preventing my forward progress. Release those things, but also learn a new way of dealing with them when they happen to me today, because that new way is actually my real way, my authentic way. It's me behaving like my authentic self, not like a 9-year-old that was traumatized over an event that I've unknowingly carried with me my entire life. The process that you are walking us through is tapping into classical conditioning, because there was this event that happened in our past, whenever it was, that caused physiological reactions inside of us. And there were things happening in the environment, and there were people involved in that situation, that are associated with that event. Well, now fast forward 30, 20, 30, 40 years later, whenever that same set of variables are present in a situation, we're going to have the same physiological response that we had in that initial event, right? What is different about the way that you go about it is that you talk about it in a different way. You're talking about it in terms that everyone can understand. Um, you are not only are you talking about it in terms that everyone can understand, but you are walking us through a process to identify different examples so that we can see the pattern ourselves, recognize it, and become more aware. So when we're aware, we're now empowered to do something about it. So there's that level of self-awareness that happens in your process by just understanding what's going on and why it's happening. And then I don't know if undoing that is the right word for it, to undo the damage, but it's a release.
Yes.
Release the baggage that we've been carrying with us all of this time. Because if we've released that baggage, now and we're aware. Now, when a situation that's similar happens again, we recognize it for what it is.
Absolutely.
And have the power to say, you know what, I see this for what it is now, whereas before I was looking at it through like these dark lenses that I've been wearing since, for all these years. But now those lenses are off. I see it actually for what it is. I'm not jumping to conclusions and assumptions in my mind about what I think it is. I see it now for what it is. So now I can respond to it in an appropriate way that is healthy.
Yes. Again, for me to hear from you, it's eye-opening because I share my message, right? I do my analysis and I communicate what I have to communicate. Like we all go through these things, we have our assumptions, things happen to you, you think that the world is against you somehow, whatever. But things are just what they are. Once you clear that energy, then you just go through life and everything is an opportunity, really, you know? So that's fantastic. So I'm happy that we were able to do this. I'm happy for all your feedback and I'm grateful that we actually got to the point where we can kind of look back and see how far we've come and all that we were able to accomplish. So
I am too. Thank you
thank
for that,
you.
Timmy.
Sure,
Thank you.
my pleasure.